He got married. Good. And I think this will, because I think she's that, and I think she's making him feel more that he didn't have, or he wouldn't like.
How's it going? Doing well in yourself? How's it going? How's it going, young man? Hey, Donna.
I'm good. I've been sitting all day. Here we go. Now gotta get my glass.
How you?
It's
Pat.
nice and cool in here.
Yes.
With Daddy on it. Oh no, you don't call me come out. As soon as I gotta do my job, I'm here.
Good evening, everybody. We'll call our regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for March 19th, 2024. We would like to ask Pastor Kenneth Morrow of Fellowship Chapel in Law to do our invocation and pray for our sick and the council and the town.
Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for the day that you've given us today. Lord, none of us will do it if it wasn't for you. You are the creator. You're the one who has designed this world and you're still ruling over it, although men sometimes think they are. And God, we come to you tonight because, Lord, we need you.
Yes.
Lord, there's many among us in this town that are sick.
Yes.
Brother Kenneth Malloy, Lord, you know his daily issues, and Lord, I pray for him. He's a great man, and I love this man. I pray that you be with him. Lillian Cutshaw, Ronnie Pryor, Curtis Robertson, Ruth Lavishore, Althea Vaughn, Father Joe and Miss Grace Bordelon, Barbara Tuma, Ada Sexton, Willie and Jeanette Cooper, Pat and Tom Smith, Tim Free, Alan Neville, Mary Warren, Kalinda Ewing, Stephanie Hilliard, Tanya Wood, Pamela Toberlin, Liam Ward, Mary McNeil, Marissa Lee, Barbara Warren. Lord, you know each and every one of them. And Lord, you know exactly what sickness they're going through and everything, and so we just lift them up to you. And then, Lord, we also pray, Lord, for the Harold Whited family, after having lost Harold lately. Lord, in this meeting, Lord, we thank you for our leaders, and God, we ask you, Lord, to give them the wisdom that they need to make the decisions that are necessary to make this town what it is, this ball. You know, it's a wonderful place, and we want to keep it that way. And Lord, give them the discernment to make the decisions when sometimes those decisions are difficult. And whatever they choose, unify this town and keep it unified so that we can all work together and worship you together and enjoy each other together and enjoy each day that you give us. Thank you, Lord. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to open the floor to, while the pastor's still here. Does anybody have any relative or somebody sick or that's passed away that you would like us to lift in prayer tonight? Yes, ma'am?
My mother, Joey Isaac, lives with me and is very sick.
She's a wonderful lady. We love her dearly. Thank you. We will definitely add her permanently
Yes,
to our
ma'am.
prayer
Thank you.
list. Anyone else? Anybody's family need prayer for? Then, Miss Bobby, I'm gonna ask everybody to join hands, and we're gonna lift the Lord's Prayer up for your mother.
Thank you.
Would you lead us, Miss Bobby, in the Lord's Prayer? Thank you.
Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Wayne, will give you the honor of leading us in the pledge?
Absolutely.
In honor of Miss Annie Baker.
Sure will. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Everyone be seated.
Alderman Carol Ward, seat A.
Yes.
Alderwoman Suzanne Duncan Kirby, seat B. Here. Alderman Mark Mercer, seat C.
Here.
Alderwoman Kimberly Kirkey, seat D.
Here.
Alderwoman Charlotte Williams Smith, seat E. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Again, welcome. And we have a new addition to our agenda. And that is where we ask our local businesses to come and promote themselves, to talk about their business, and even if it's an old business. And if we have anybody at this time that would like to talk about their business, we would appreciate you coming up and letting us know. Maybe you want to offer a special, like free moon pies or something. I would like to recognize Miss Ursula. She's been recognized as our newest author. She's written a book that's getting to be very, very popular. Miss Ursula, would you stand and tell us a little bit about your book? Not anything like putting you on the spot.
for putting me on the spot. You love doing that.
Could you come to the podium, please, so we can hear you, ma'am?
Oh.
He said sing a couple of songs.
You could go ahead and sing your favorite song first.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ursula DeWald. I recently wrote a faith-based journal for today's busy woman, and it's called Pushing Through to a Stronger You. Because we all push through things. There's scriptures, heartfelt prayers, and tips to kind of get you through whatever obstacle you're going through. So it's about 8 sections from self-care. I share where I had a stroke, and that's when I began to take better care of myself. I also share goals, you know, how to take care of my mom with young onset dementia and that kind of thing. So just encouraging ladies to push through. So it's available everywhere books are sold. It's on Amazon. And I talk about journaling as a stress reliever. I've been doing that in the local schools, and the kids absolutely love it. So thanks for recognizing that, and I hope that y'all get a copy. You would love it.
Thank you, Ursula. Is there anybody that would like to promote their business, or maybe a favorite place that you might have eaten here in Ball or visited? Anybody? Okay, well then, we'll move on. At this point, I would like to open the floor to public comment of any agenda item. It has to be an agenda item. Now, I want you to understand, this will be the only time the floor will be open for public comment. So, if you all have a copy of the agenda, maybe you could peruse it a little bit and see if there's something that you'd like to speak to or ask questions of. So we'll open it, at this time for 5 minutes, longer if we need be. Ms. McKay?
So, number 11, many times when y'all offer an ordinance that's going to be changed or tweaked, the public really doesn't know what this ordinance is or what it entails, everything. And so therefore, a perception goes out that it's inaccurate. So is it possible that this ordinance be read so that certain things can be clarified and rumors and falsehoods can be stopped? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. And I think our Mayor Pro Tem may be
Yes, she
able
has a very
to
strong voice.
shed a strong light.
Those of us in the back, those of us in the back sometimes can't hear, so we need probably Kim to.
Okay. Would you like to address Ms. McKay?
Yes, I'll address item number 11. We passed an ordinance back in December that pertained to commercial waste and debris, and that's exactly what it's about. the entire council, it was brought to our attention that, to the Code Revision Committee, that we should make this ordinance a little bit more defined. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase. The proposed amended ordinance that you're seeing on number 11, does not restrict any of the homeowners from purchasing firewood. Yeah, it does not restrict the homeowner from burning firewood. It's not gonna restrict the homeowner from cutting firewood from a tree that was cut from their own property. It's not also going to restrict a property licensed firewood vendor from selling firewood. So I hope that puts some of you to rest. Tonight is just strictly an introduction to what we are proposing. The council has not tweaked this ordinance. It's just a proposal tonight. It is an introduction only. So that's, that should put some of that to rest tonight. Does that answer some of your questions out there? Yes, ma'am.
What if my
Go ahead and approach the podium, please.
My question was, if my grandson was to bring firewood to our property and cut firewood to sell, would that be okay?
The purpose of this ordinance was, and the town is working its way through it because we've never had an ordinance like this. The purpose is to restrict commercial businesses from dumping and burning primarily, unless they have an EDQ license and they have a permitted site. No, it's not gonna stop your grandson from selling firewood. That's not the intent. This is to regulate heavy industrial and commercial dumping. If you have a business, you have a concrete abatement business or a house demolition business, you can't go pile the bricks up on your property. It's more of it's for citizen safety and to keep the town aesthetically pleasing, keep the smoke out of the air that's not approved by DEQ.
Okay.
It's not to stop your grandson from selling a rick of firewood.
Okay, well, I know we have some tree surgeons here in town. They can cut the wood for firewood to sell?
I don't want to get into specific instances because I know kind of where you're going and everybody's already talked. We don't want to name particular
No.
individuals or call out any particular business in this forum. However, it depends on the circumstances. It's hard to, it's going to depend on the circumstances. Sure, if they're in the firewood business, and a properly licensed firewood vendor, it's not an issue. We're not
Okay.
trying to regulate
Yeah, I
that. We're
understand,
just trying to regulate the hazardous dumping or
Yeah,
hazardous waste.
because
burning.
there's a couple of them,
Sure.
that's here, that does utilize the wood that they cut
I understand.
to cut it for firewood.
The
So that would be okay?
intention- The intention is, and I think probably the reason for this amendment would be, the intention never was to single out specific things.
That's
And I
correct.
think through trial and error, and Ms. Ursula is on our committee that, and she may be able to speak to this. Through trial and error, she's on our ordinance committee along with a couple
Right.
of, we're trying to find the proper balance
Okay.
where we don't prohibit somebody's grandson from trying to make a little money, to get
Yeah.
a fishing tournament to sell a rick of wood or two. We're trying to keep the big commercial haulers and dumpers. Just, we've had issues with concrete. I think I brought that up.
Okay.
We've had issues with people disposing bathtubs and things of that nature.
Oh,
Home renovation people that are disposing. It's their property, but we've had a problem on 165 with it. So it's not aimed at any individual,
I understand,
uh,
but,
or any particular circumstance.
but like you said, that they were commercial tree surgeon, they could utilize that wood rather than dumping it at a site to burn it to cut firewood with the wood.
It will
But,
depend on.
but Brian, I'm gonna go ahead and, step out here. I think there's gonna have to be a difference between if it's just, I think the council's going to look at this, and so is code revision, between just cut up blocks of wood and what's a mixture between debris in there, limbs with, pine needles and stuff, because there is a difference between what's waste debris and what's just cut up logs.
Yes.
So I think that's what the council and the code revision committee is going to be looking at. And that's what we consider commercial waste and commercial debris. The same as when we're looking at contractors that, knock shingles off with roof nails, bricks, plastic, metals, things like that. There's a difference between what's good, for instance, Ms. Parker, that somebody may want to keep for something, and what's actual waste and debris. Okay, so there's your difference there. So we're not wanting to harm something, but I wanted the people to understand, when, I had two people call me over the weekend and said, is it true we're not gonna be able to burn firewood in our pit? And I thought, no, that's not what the council's intention is here. You're gonna be able to purchase firewood. You'll be able to get firewood and brought it into the town of Ball. You will be able to burn your firewood in the town of Ball. You most certainly will be able to cut a tree still in the town of Ball on your own property and cut it into firewood if you desire to. That's not what we're trying to take away from anybody.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I mean, I have a fireplace at my house. Most certainly, do you think I would sit here and pass something that would prohibit myself from getting firewood? That's how I help myself during the winter pay my utility bill. I mean, think about it. I would be cutting my hand off myself.
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna do that to y'all.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, Brian, would you step up and identify yourself, please?
Paul Crane, 108 Leah Street in Ball. I would like you to define firewood though. There's a difference between pine and firewood. It's an absolute idiot to put pine in their fireplace.
It's gonna be a case by case thing, just
Uh,
like we talked about a while ago.
If you start burning pine in your fireplace, you got about 2 months before you burn your house down. Now, I got no problem taking that pine and using your fire put outside.
Right.
But say pine is firewood, that's BS. That's all that is, okay? Firewood is hardwood. Okay, just make sure that gets defined this time to clarify that. And thank you very much for y'all's hard work.
Well, and I think that's another thing that's gonna be well defined also when we get ready to tweak it. I mean, everybody knows that you use pine as kindling as well.
Right.
Okay, but I think in the ordinance that we had previously set was, being able to use it as firewood, making ricks of firewood. So that's another thing we're going to tweak. Okay, so, yes. I mean, there's gonna be all aspects that we're gonna look into and make it fair across the board, of course. And I don't know anybody that chops pine tree into firewood, but yes, I do know it being used as a knot to start a fire, of course. Yes, ma'am.
Bobby,
Yes, ma'am.
would you come and identify?
Yes, ma'am, I will. Bobby Carey, 5942 Tall Pine Drive. Did I understand correctly that if someone cuts a tree down in their yard, they're able to burn it?
You're able to burn it if you have 3/8 of an acre or more. Yes, ma'am.
That's right, okay. That's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else on number 11 or any other agenda items?
I want everybody to ask all of your questions tonight while we're on record. I want to clear up any misconceptions that there may be out there. I don't believe in doing business on Facebook, so tonight at the council meeting is where you should be asking your questions.
And there also, Kim, for further clarification, state law mandates that we have a public hearing before final adoption. of any
Absolutely.
amendment. So next month's meeting, we'll actually have a public hearing on the same issue.
That's right. So if you think of something else between now and then, that would be your time to ask more.
Right.
The last clarification, the cutting down of a tree by the property owner only, you cannot get a tree surgeon or a licensed tree cut, you come in and cut that tree and then burn it. And you can't burn it either. If they come in there and cut it, they gotta haul it off.
If it's for free. No, you don't.
They cannot burn it on the property. Thank you.
What statute is it?
So,
You got something you want to say? To follow Mr. Crane's
what about your name?
Would you identify yourself, please? Your name
Dalton
and
Johnson, and
your address?
355 Ken Livingston Road. I'm what we're doing. If I go to anybody's house and work for free, that tree, I don't work for profit. It's free, it's a donation, doesn't matter. I forgot he's an offer, so that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Dal.
Yes, my grandson, yes, he does, sir.
Okay, there'll be order in the council room.
And I'll get my question answered, what statute that is. If a tree surgeon comes in, cuts the tree down, and let the homeowner pay for it.
I'm not aware of any specific statute
I'm not even.
on that. But I think what Paul, the point he's trying to make is, that, and again, we're splitting hairs and we're getting into specifics, and you can come up with 1,000 different hypotheticals. But I think the point is, where we need to go with this is to regulate industrial and commercial activity.
Right.
It's not to regulate homeowners.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's the bottom line. Any citation issued under this would end up in a court, so a judge would have to make a decision, based on specific circumstances, and there's so many different variables you can throw in. We could be here for days and go over each one and you know, so, the primary purpose is to regulate industrial and commercial dumping and burning. Wood, concrete, bathtubs, whatever. So, unless it's on a DEQ site.
Brendan Watt, 131 Dayton. How long is this ordinance gonna take to get done? Like, next month, we're gonna vote on it? Okay. And so then, once it's all done and voted on and passed, so when people break the law, they get a citation?
This is an amendment, to an existing ordinance.
Oh, okay.
So, to further clarify your question, it's sort of in effect, but these are amendments to kind of take care as we go
To be more
along. We're
specific
learning as
about
we go.
stuff, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be amended again later on, down the road.
Okay, so there's
We
stuff
amend our
on books,
ordinances a lot.
we're just making it more specific.
Every municipality ends up amending and
Okay,
tweaking as they go through trial and error.
right, okay.
We'll have a public hearing on this next month, so everybody will be able.
At the town hall meeting.
Right, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am,
Okay.
right.
Chief Dean, there's a question on the table that Alderman Mercer had. Can you maybe address that as far as our code, ordinances, to see what, if there is something that says, we all know, and Mark has pointed out to me many, many times, where commercial, arborists have come in, cut trees, and left them for the town hall to pick up.
Can't do that.
And, no, we know that's for a fact, Mark knows that, he points it out to me, when that happens, and we take care of that. But I think what that's kind of what the question was. Is there something that says, like Dalton said, an arborist will go and cut the tree and charge nothing? Now, does that mean that owner can't burn that tree if he has the right amount of,
I don't think the ordinance says anything about them burning the tree. It says that if a licensed tree company or a licensed commercial company comes in and cuts that tree, I don't think it specifies whether it's free or whether they charge for it. If the licensed company comes in and cuts that tree, then they cannot cut it up and leave it for the town ball to pick it up. The town ball will not pick up something cut by a commercial company.
And Marshall, we had that problem with a group out in Pollock, and we brought them through court. They were just leaving the trees for the town to pick up.
So, I mean, if that's something that ordinance would have to be revisited on that part.
I think if I understood the question, that's what it was. If an arborist comes, or a professional tree cutter comes and cuts for a resident and does not haul the tree away, what is their responsibility?
I think what they're getting into, I'm just gonna use Dalton. If Dalton went to his grandma's house, even though he's a licensed tree cutter or whatever, he cut her tree down, my mom cut the tree down, well, we gotta put it, we'll put it out here and get it hauled off. He's not charging her for the tree, or he's doing it for his mama. There's a difference there.
Then the resident is responsible for proper disposal of the tree.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Because I tell you,
Just like
there's a
Brian
big
from my
charge
house.
to haul.
If Brian comes to my house and cut a tree for me, okay, where are we gonna put it at now?
Most of the expense of getting a tree cut, as some of us know in this room, is hauling it and disposing at a proper site. That costs more than actual cutting the tree.
But as far as just Brian coming to help me, there's
That
not
the
one.
homeowner is then responsible.
We push it out there to the road and get it picked up.
Well,
That's what they're asking.
we can pick up a whole tree. Okay?
If you cut.
I think the ordinance, I think the ordinance states specific of how the length it has to be
It has
cut.
to be cut.
We can't do it. We don't have the equipment to
No,
pick
they,
it up.
it would have to be
Or
properly
red.
cut. Our ordinance does say that.
200 years old.
Our ordinance says if a homeowner cuts a tree, then for us to pick it up, it has to be cut.
I understand that, I understand. That's what we're asking. It has to be cut in pieces, put out there by the road and be picked up.
Small.
Right? Yeah, they gotta be within 3 feet. That's what we're asking, that's what they're asking there.
I think if he goes and cuts a tree for his grandmother, being a family member cutting a tree for his grandmother, I don't think anybody's gonna make a big stink about them cutting it up into the place, put it out there for the town ball to pick up because it's a family member. I think what the ordinance states is the fact that if you hire, whether they do it for free or not, if you call a licensed tree company and it is not an immediate family member, and they cut that tree down, they either need to haul it off or the owner needs to dispose of it another way that the town ball is not gonna pick it up.
That is the one. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I just think it's important to get this.
Identify yourself, opposing to yourself.
As address, since Dalton went to do his, make sure he gives his address.
Name and address, sir.
Yeah, Shannon McManus. I live in Pineville, 318 James Drive. Okay. Actually, I was waiting to see if somebody else asked. I don't think he was going to ask the question, but the city ordinance is to prevent people from doing a certain thing, correct? It's to prevent them from having commercial. Okay, but that if somebody violates the ordinance, do they get a warning first? Is there an automatic citation immediately after that, or?
Shannon, they could get a warning, but as you know, I think you were a police officer before it's a judgment of the officer. It's the same with a code officer. It's a judgment in the field. If they think it was just a one-off and they deserve a warning, they can give a warning or they can issue something.
I wanted to make that clear because, and the council make it clear to the citizens that live here in town, because it's important that if the citizens are violating an ordinance and they're held accountable, and not nothing against anybody up here on council, but that means everyone, including the council, should have these same things done to them that a normal citizen that lives out there that's paying taxes has to do. So as long as it's fair across the board, I believe everybody's okay with that. And then everybody can agree on something and move forward. Because evidently it needs to be fixed, because there's evidently a lot of loopholes in there. And it does get confusing, because one of the council members can argue this side, and it's a good point. And then somebody else can argue the other side, and it's a good point. And like, he could agree with Dalton back there, but we can all agree that it probably needs to be fixed one way or the other. But the violators should be all held to the same account, and you shouldn't have any more privilege over anybody else, elected official or not. So,
Generally, what we do on code violations is we go out there, if they're not home, we'll send them a letter. Generally, they get sent a letter with the ordinance in the letter, and they're told they have 10 days to make progress on, like if it's junk in the yard or something, clean it up. After that 10 days, if there's been no progress made, they will be issued a citation for that violation. If there's progress made, then we try to work with them. We don't just try to hammer the citizens. But if it's a reoccurring problem, you know, as far as warning, I guess it depends on case by case basis and the severity of the case would be my answer, because some things are not super serious and some things are a little more serious to the point of health hazards. So I think it's more of a case by case basis.
I just want to make sure that one got answered.
Well, I'm going to answer that question, Mr. McManus. The ordinance does state that they have 10 business days to comply on each code, each ordinance violation. And Marshall's correct. We do try to work with the citizens. We're not out there to just write them. I mean, when the code enforcement officer is sent out and there is a violation, we try to work with the citizen. And they're given 10 business days. Now listen to that, 10 business days. And it depends on their attitude. Sometimes you get out there and they have a really awful attitude. They do not want to comply right off the bat. And we're really nice about it. You've got some people that say, hey, I didn't even know that was an ordinance violation, and they're ready to comply right off the bat with us. And then you have some that have a really bad attitude about it, and they have no intentions of doing anything about the ordinance violation. But we try to do everything we can to help them, okay? But like Marshall said, you have some that are repeat offenders on the same exact ordinance violation. And then it gets to the point where we put, like the code revision committee that I'm chairman of, when we go in there, we've gotten to the point where we're setting fines now. When they're a repeat offender and the code enforcement officer has to go out to the same exact address for the same exact violation, it's getting to the point where we're having to set fines for it, because it gets bad where you have to keep going out to the same address. So we do try to work with the citizens. We're not out to try to make money. We want our town to look good. And you're right. What applies to the citizens applies to the public officials. I will not send the message out there that your public officials are above the law, because they are not. Okay? They are not. Whether I'm sitting in this seat or not, when I walk away into the sunset, when I retire from this seat, I hope the next one sitting in this seat hears this message. Public officials set the tone and they send the message. And I'm going to send it to you right now. We're not above the law. Okay? We do live in glass houses. We're leaders. We set the example. We should live the example. Okay? And I'm not sending the message tonight or tomorrow night or the next night. The council's job is to make the ordinances. Don't you think we should live by them? So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I want to make one more comment on, and this was a situation we had, it's probably been a year or two ago. We had an ordinance violation, and we sent the lady a letter. It's an elderly lady. I think it was her grandson lived with her, but he worked offshore. We gave her 10 days to clean up her property. She called up here and said, hey, I'm not physically able, I don't have the money to hire somebody. My grandson is when he won't be in for 30 days, but when he comes in, we'll get it cleaned up. We can work with that, just call us and talk to us. You know, if you get something about your grass and it's been raining for days, you know, we send it out, because what happens is if we don't send it out, then all your neighbors around you that may like you, may not like you, is calling up here complaining, wanting to know why we're not doing anything. So when that happens, we can say, we sent a letter out. But if you call up here and say, hey, my yard is soaking wet, it doesn't dry very quick, we'll come out and look at it, and if that's the case, we're gonna work with you. We're not trying to harm the citizens by any ordinance. We're trying to help clean up the town, and if you need help, you know, reach out to us. If you got junk or something, or your yard needs money, you're not physically able, there's church groups that will come help you, that we can reach out to and say, hey, this person needs help, we've done it. All you gotta do is ask.
One of the items that you got listed here, just as an example, bricks, like the lawyer said, we're trying to target commercial entities. So, or not target, but we're trying to regulate commercial entities. So if a guy in theory owns a business where he's laying bricks or doing something with bricks, can he bring bricks to his property and law with the intentions of later using those bricks for someone else?
That's not waste, that's building material that you intend to use in another construction.
Right, for further use.
I mean, this is about disposal of waste.
Right.
This is not about storage of material that, you know, y'all are gonna use in your business. If it be it bricks or whatever, concrete.
This is the problem we're gonna run into though, Brian, okay? That when your code enforcement officer gets to a place that's in question, how is he gonna be able to decipher what's waste and what's building materials that's been brought and disposed of?
It's gonna have to.
Okay, so the council's gonna have to define, okay?
It's gonna have to be a common sense.
Yes, and I don't want, that's the problem I'm thinking of. The code enforcement officer shouldn't have to do a guessing game. That's gonna be a problem.
I think at the end of the day, you can tell what's been sitting there.
Sure,
for
right,
years.
that's what I
Yeah.
meant. I think the officer has the judgment, like we talked about earlier. It has to make a judgment call at that point. I mean, if it's a dump of industrial waste, or wood, or bricks, if somebody's dumping trees, if somebody's dumping bricks.
Come on, one
Got a big pile
man's
of bricks.
junk is another man's treasure. And that's where I'm going with this. You call a loophole, that's where I'm going with this.
You can't define it.
That's
There's gotta be
why
some common sense.
I want to define this where it can be fair. I'm always about fairness, okay? I wanna be fair. I want to be able to define debris and waste with a lot of clarification here, because I wanna make it fair. You know, Marshall's side of the town hall has code enforcement.
Right.
So I want that to be
Listen,
very fair.
This is the definition I came up with, and y'all tell me if you agree with it. Waste, for the purpose of commercial and industrial waste, shall be defined as any discarded materials not intended for further commercial use or sale, including all wood, metals, plastic, building materials, and bricks. So it's not intended, you know, you do a pile of concrete that you can't possibly use, or a pile of trees that you can't possibly use for anything but just dump it, then it's waste. So I mean, it's a good question, you bring up a good point, but I think we succinctly defined it about as tight as we can, the term waste, right? It's not intended for further commercial use or sale, really important. I think that's important.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Linda, would you identify yourself and give your address?
My name is Linda Cleo, and I live on the Ball Cutoff Road. Anyway, I just want to say that I am very proud of my leaders here. I thank you for this open forum. And I just want to specifically say that I hope that you guys would put validate our laws and have consequences for those who don't aren't obedient to that. I think it's important that we pray for our leaders and we pray for wisdom about that. But we trust you that you'll make the right decisions, and we just want to validate our leaders and say thank you for the work that you do. And please enforce the law. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Glenda Coleman from Eastbrook. I have a question. What is a citation?
Citation is it's basically a summons to court. So on code enforcement stuff, we issue citations. You're getting a summons to court, you're gonna get a court date, you're gonna get a time to show up. You come to that court date, you get to present your case to the judge. Actually, the first court date is gonna be an arraignment. You can plead guilty, not guilty. If you plead guilty, the judge is gonna assign you a fine. He may not give you a fine. I mean, I've seen cases in both. But if you plead not guilty, he's gonna give you a trial, which is gonna set another court date, and you're gonna come back with your evidence or whatever to present your case to the judge, and then there'll be a prosecutor to present his case.
What happens if you don't follow through on your citation?
That's completely up to the judge. Sometimes he may tack on a contempt fee, he can issue a warrant, there's a variety of things that he can do, but it's completely up to the judge. I don't get to make that decision, the prosecutor doesn't get to make that decision.
What judge is this?
Our magistrate, Judge Greg Jones. Greg Jones.
So he could also just say, oh, no big deal, just go on about your business and have fun.
That's what he decides to do.
Okay, this is what I want to know. Thank you.
I got one more question. The ordinance that we had before, the one in October, at the top of it, on each page, it lists when the code committee meeting was, when they offered this up. So since nobody told me anything, I'm curious if somebody tell me when the code meeting was for this new one. The code committee meeting. Can you give me the date of that?
I'll answer that. My mother was in the hospital, and since I'm the chairman, the recommendation for what we tweaked was sent via email.
Now, let's make something clear. The Code Revision Committee does not trump the council. Not everything that we amend as an ordinance must go to the Code Revision Committee. It's an advisory committee that I put together mainly to go through the myriad of old ordinances that we have, so that we could revise them, we could do away with them if we needed to, but to bring our code up to date. That's what that was all about. As every committee I have, and I'm gonna do my yearly swapping around of code members every year about this time, and I'm gonna do that again tonight. But every one of my council members sits on many committees, and they swap, because I want every single one of them to be able to serve on every committee and know what is going on in this town. When you don't sit on one of the committees, you're not aware of what may be going on in street. You may not be aware what's going on in sewer. Mark chaired sewer for a long time. Sewer is humongous, guys. It's where all our money that you see us spending with our grants is going. We're doing lift stations, we're removing sludge. Our committee keeps us posted as to what's going on and kind of keeps a lookout of the money that we're spending with the help of County American Engineer. We spend a lot of money, guys. But anyway, that's what committees are.
We do not have to go to the code committee to tell them what to tell my council to do. Don't think that, because that's not what a committee does. We have the code committee as we have the finance committee and every other committee to help us, help the council make the laws. That's what they do. They make the laws. So it's not necessary if we want to make an amendment to an ordinance that we go to them first. It's not necessary. They don't trump this council. Would anybody else like to add something to that one? Stephen?
I just have a quick question. Stephen McKay, I'm a CPA and it's tax season, so I live in my office at 1407 Peterman Drive. So I plan to come home again. The definition of waste, the one question I had, if you hold a bag of oranges for resale long enough, eventually it becomes not for resale anymore, right? So does the nature of the item change its perishable, by its perishable nature change? Some ideas. So just another thought on the.
Never read it for firewood and it rots.
Well, that was what I mean, just to be transparent, that's what I was getting at, right? A brick will stay a brick, but eventually, a piece of wood will not. So.
Well, I don't know many contractors that's gonna leave a lot of their product just sitting at their house, because if it's sitting at their house, they're not making money.
Oh, I just an observation. I thought maybe a time limit or, by its definition, if it's of a perishable nature, maybe we need to put some guardrails on it, right? So, yeah, thank you. Yes.
All right, any other comments on any item on the agenda? Anybody? Anything? At this point, oh, there comes Ms. Ursula. All right, Ms. Ursula, oh, she's gonna talk about the code revision committee. Right now.
Got that real close.
Yeah, really close. I just wanted to chime in. It is an honor to serve on the Code Revision Committee. We have worked very hard on this particular ordinance. It says commercial. Everybody knows commercial. When I say commercial, I'm an entrepreneur myself. Commercial means license and all that other good stuff. So when we are tweaking, we need to make sure that we say license. Because if you are doing work at somebody's home, you need to make sure that you're licensed. I kind of just wanted to clarify that. So everybody's dancing around it. So when we are tweaking again, if I have the honor of being on it, it will be fine-tuned. It's also going to be fair for the public. So all this fearing about not being able to do this and that, that's incorrect. If you're licensed, you're cutting down a tree, you don't bring your debris back into the town. You pay to bring it to a landfill. If you're not donating it, if you're not making furniture, it does not need to be back into the town. And that's all I want to say.
Ms. Ursula, I would like to tell the people who serve on the code revision committee, that kind of will address how Kim said she handled the discussion of this. I sit on every single committee, every single one. Carol Ward, Alderman, sits on code revision. Brian Sespeva, town attorney. Marshall Dean, chief of police. Jude Fields, fire chief. Gregory Simeon, code enforcement and animal control officer. Ellen Melanson is the secretary of our group. Ursula DeWalt is a member. Kim Christie is chair, and Abby Roser, our town clerk. That is your code revision committee as it presently sits for 2024. And I thank y'all all for your service, because it is a very, very difficult and tedious job to sit on this committee. Yes, sir.
Don Mercer, Williford Road. It seems like everyone is mentioning tree. I know why. But what I would like to ask, there's more ordinances out there besides tree waste, correct? Yeah, I know the law. Why are those not being talked about?
Well, since you brought that up, I've been accused on Facebook of 700 to 800 ordinances being violated in the town. Me and my assistant chief rode the town today. I found 13 violations, half of them was grass. And I really can't push the grass issue right now because of all the rain and the moisture. So, if there's a violation, somebody needs to report it.
I know 9 different folks, they have abandoned cars in their yard.
Well, let me address that, Mr. Mercer. Did you drive by today?
No,
Well, I showed your son the picture. My mother gave me the approval to go ahead and get rid of that truck.
I wouldn't have got rid of it. That was gonna be my response to whatever
Good.
someone said.
So I got rid of the truck.
Especially since it's your dad.
Yeah.
There's no way I would've got rid of it. I'd have paid fine.
I did, because I'm a council member, and let me show you how council members handle their business. If I broke an ordinance, and I did break the ordinance, that truck sat there because that was my daddy. No, let me go back, that was my previous husband's truck that he drove until he died. Then my children drove that truck. When they quit driving the truck, I gave it to my dad at the nursery. It was a farm truck, never had a license on it. We hauled plants in it for 20-something years at the nursery. So when my dad died, the truck sat there. It was an eyesore. So last weekend, we started clearing it up. I told my husband, I said, it's not fair for me to expect every council member to abide by the law when I have a truck sitting here. So I told Mom, I said, what are we gonna do? She said, get rid of the truck. The nursery's gone, it's all done. So there's a sweet little post on Facebook by the mouth of someone here. Let's hold all of our council members accountable. I take the blame, we did not get rid of the truck. However, the way you handle this is when you make a mistake, you admit to it. I should have hauled the truck off when my dad died. I didn't. This morning, I hauled that truck off. Myself, I hooked it to the tractor. I hauled the truck off. I apologize for not obeying the ordinances. I truly apologize. That's the way you handle your business. When you break the law, you apologize and you don't do it again. End of discussion.
I wasn't
Carry on.
referencing my deal to you, but it's some more people in this room that have junk cars in their yard. I can send you a list of who they are. I'll sure do it.
Am I wrong to say that an ordinance, no matter what it is, and I know we got a code enforcer goes out there and checks out whatever's going on in the neighborhood until it gets to some severe thing that he has to step in there. But an ordinance is something that you complain about, then you get something done about it.
Generally, you know, if we.
Yeah, don't mean it's gonna get fined either, you know.
Chief, were you trying to say something?
No, I just said generally, generally we don't. The code enforcement, if he sees something, he'll send out a letter. If there's an actual complaint that comes in, he goes and visits.
That's where that comes in, yeah.
And any letter he sends out, he checks up on it after 10 days.
I'm gonna say something else too. Facebook is not gonna fix a bad burn thing.
Amen.
If you got a problem with the ordinance in this town, or you think it's an ordinance in this town, there's the man to call right there, his office. They're in charge of the code enforcement. If you think it's a violation, give Marshall's office a call and ask him about it, instead of posting it on Facebook. Just try to keep things clean. But let's ask the right person about it, not Facebook.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we encourage. If you see something that you think is a violation of our ordinance, we're not everywhere. Call one of the aldermen. I can't tell you how many people do. They bring it to me. Most of the time I send them to Marshall, but I do take them and I hand it to Marshall and we deal with them. They may be a violation, they may not. But we go to those people and we try to work it out. Since I've been mayor, we have never been deliberately out to get the people. We want to help the people. This whole council is like every one of us. We want to help. If there's a violation, we try to get them to work it out within the 10 days. We have a really great code enforcement officer. He's a very great man, and he does a great job. So anybody that sends a complaint, be it to an alderman or to me, it will be turned over to the chief will assign him to go look at it, and it's taken care of. He either works with them, or if they're belligerent, he'll come back, talk to his supervisor, and they'll deal with it. And remember, a citation by the code enforcement officer comes to the judge. It comes to the judge. The judge determines what happens to it. And a lot of times the judge will say, okay, let's give you a month. If it's a bunch of cars or whatever, and we have plenty of those, that they come up here month after month and don't comply. And the judge gives them a little bit stiffer, time to get it done. Sometimes it's done and sometimes it's not. But that's the process. We encourage y'all to call and let us know. We do. We'll check into it and we'll report back to you on all of that. Does anybody else have any comments?
One more direction to that situation right there, Mayor. On that.
Yes.
There's certain times, certain situations, people, that it doesn't happen overnight. There's a couple of situations going right now in this town that the property is so tied up in airship and blah, 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 that Mr. Sessions people can't even go through the records to find out who actually owns the land. You've got to contact the landowner to do this. And I'm talking about one certain particular place in Curtis Park right now. The mayor's been working on it. This is not getting swept on the rug. Her and Chief Dean have been working on this, well, longer than 2 or 3 weeks now. But it does not get done. Well, it's really not, because these things take time.
It's actually been over a year.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's not like y'all letting it go by, or just ignoring it. You got to do it legally.
That's what we.
And in the end, you may a tax code there, something ordinance there that you can go get your dumpster, put it away, and you clean up yourself and tax on that property. I mean, that's the way out of it. But anyway, y'all are working hard. Please don't believe these people are just sitting there and shooting things on the road. They're not. It takes time to do things by the legal structure of the law.
Randy live in Paradise Road. I've got 3 vehicles. You've seen them in my yard. An old truck's been sitting there for a while. They're on the back 40. Nobody can see them from the road. Is that gonna be a problem for me?
Do they run and drive?
Yes, but nobody's driving them. They've been parked there for a while. A buddy of mine's got them to take the trucks and build one out of 2, and there's another one he wants that was his dad's. He's got there for safekeeping. It's on the back 40.
If I'm not mistaken, the ordinance, I have to read, it's been a while since I read the ordinance.
Okay. Well, please clarify that for me, because like Suzanne, if it's a problem, I'll take care of it.
It's gotta have a current registration.
And it has to run and drive.
And run.
That's enough.
I think it said it's a problem.
Yeah, there's no hope about that going back.
I'm not 100%
We had that situation where people ended up wooden fences. Yeah.
Talk about beautification of the area and all that. What about all the garbage cans? It's like, you count at least 100 garbage cans in front of them every day. They won't look, they're out on the roads. What's gonna be done about that?
code enforcement, come out there, look. I mean,
What's the problem? I didn't hear it.
the garbage cans,
Being left
they're
out.
in the road. I shouldn't have to dodge garbage cans every morning going to work.
Where are they located in Pine Brook exactly that they're in the road?
You just drive through all
I live in Pine Brook. What road are you talking about?
Birch Trace, go down Birch Trace, do the loop, and come back down.
I
Come
have
back
driven
from
down Birch. I don't
Park
see them
Point.
in the road. Now, I will tell you that, that we've gotten very I mean, Mayor, you may want to answer this, but I know that we don't strictly enforce the garbage cans. Now, I know the garbage guys don't put them back in the road. I know they place
Yeah,
them
but
back
shouldn't
on the
homeowners-
right
They
of
shouldn't
way.
be left out by the street though either. They should be brought back to your house.
Brought back where?
Back to your house,
No, they placed back on the right of way.
on the right of way.
Yes, ma'am.
By the, so everybody can leave them out by the road.
On the right of way, yes, ma'am. Not on the road, but on the right of way.
Not on
That's
the
where
road.
you place them, and that's where they're placed right back. And then your job
So
is,
just
if
to
you want
stay
to leave
there?
them there, you can either put them back close to your house if you desire to. Yes, ma'am.
That's how, when you first, gave everybody garbage cans, that's not how I interpreted your impression, for everyone was to wheel them back to the houses.
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
leave them out there towards the curb of the road.
Actually, the
Because that's not appeasing, I mean, for appearances, for your subdivision, you want it to look nice. It's not
There is
nice.
wording in the ordinance, as to what time you have to bring the can in, what time you.
Well, the ordinance does say, yes, we're supposed to bring them back to the house after we place them out. They're put right back on the right of way, and then you're to bring them back to your house. That is the ordinance. I'm sorry, my mic went out.
But they're not, they're left out there all day long.
And that's what I was
Every day
gonna
of the
tell you, that has been a very lax, ordinance that's not really enforced because, I don't know if you want to explain that, why. I mean, if we want to.
I mean, I just would like our area to look nicer, and it doesn't look nice. You got visitors coming to your subdivision, and all they see is garbage cans everywhere. It's not nice.
Okay, well, that is something that will get enforced. I mean, it's not just in Pine Brook. It's not something that we were very strict about. That was before we even got the new trash cans. A lot of people built them a receptacle to put their old trash cans in prior to getting the new trash cans. So they were left out there all the time, okay? And this is when we had that ordinance, okay? So when we got the new trash cans, a lot of people just leave them there, and some people bring them back to their house. It's just one of those, we're just not quite strict on it, but since you are saying something about it, it can be enforced.
Yeah, 'cause my neighbors around me, we all pull ours together and take them out, bring them back. Our area looks very nice, but you go to the other parts of the area and it's not so nice.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
they're cleaning up the area and we would like it to stay that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. We've gotten off of agenda items, and we do that often, because we want people to have a say. We want to hear what they have to say. But we can go back onto the agenda now. The police and code enforcement officers will start doing better with that code enforcement. I know I get complaints on my street as well. And my husband is guilty because my neighbor claimed But my sweet neighbor, Franklin DeVille, will come, she gets so frustrated, she'll take it and go put it under the carport. So she saved him a big fine. He owes her dinner. So if we're done with comments on agenda items, if y'all don't mind, we will proceed with our agenda. Okay. Public comment is now closed. Item number 7, approve minutes of the February 2024 council meeting as published. Do we have a motion?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Ward,
Yes.
Alderwoman Duncan Kirby.
Yes.
Alderman Mercer,
Yes.
Alderwoman Christie,
Yes.
Alderwoman Williams Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item number 8, hear from Stephen Carey regarding the Lions Club. This is a tag team event.
I'm gonna be down a lot, hold it.
Okay.
Stephen Bobby Carey, thank you, Mayor Gale, for giving me an opportunity to talk about something I'm very passionate about. So now it's fun time.
Yes.
Louisiana Lions Camp for special needs and diabetic youth. If you go to www.lionscamp.org, just remember lionscamp.org, you can find out all the information you need. On July 9th, 1961, the first camping session opened at the camp located north of Leesville. So that would make this year their 63rd year of doing camp for special needs children. And they're really good at what they do. Okay, the first camp is going to be Camp Pelican for asthma and cystic fibrosis. It's coming up May 26th through June the 1st. Second camp is the mentally challenged camp. It's 2 one-week sessions. First one starts June 9th through June 15th, then June the 16th through June the 22nd. Third camp, physically challenged camp, with any various challenges, age 7 to 19. That's 2 camps, June 23rd through the 29th, June 30th through July 6th. Fourth would be the diabetes camp, 2 one-week sessions for youth with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. That'd be July 7th through the 13th. Lastly, Camp Challenge for children with cancer and blood disorder, July 14th through July 20th. All campers are Lion sponsored and attend camp at no cost to the family. That's very special. To be assigned, all applicants must meet the eligibility requirements which accompany the application. Okay, just for some of the activities, while they're at camp, regular camp activities, swimming, archery, gun safety, field sports, crafts, fishing and hiking, and paddle boating. All right, now the staff that's there is always, every year, 50% comes back. So they want to make sure that they have people that are knowledgeable what they're doing. The medical staff consists of 1 Louisiana licensed registered nurse, and then for many of the camps, they have a full, full medical team, that's what it says. Camper and staff applications are available online at www.lionscamp.org. So, and that being said, lastly, we want to talk just briefly about where to turn in your eyeglasses. Currently, my wife Bobby has 270 glasses that she's picked up. We're going to get them to Alexandria, and then from there they go to New Orleans. So we have a box here at Ball Town Hall lobby. There's one at the Vendors Village at the flea market over here. America's Best Eyeglasses, and at Pineville, Louisiana Eye and Laser Center, and at Antunes Eye Center. And we're here representing the Pineville Lions Club. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Bobby. Ms. Bobby.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Stevens.
Appreciate it. I'd like to let everybody know the camp is free, and we're trying to get as many kids to the camp. I will leave brochures. If y'all need me more, please get with us. It's very important that people don't understand that it's just not, as you heard from him, is children that even have diabetes. They have just one camp just for them, and it's they keep coming back, and they're getting a brand new pool this year. I mean, kids who are in a wheelchair, they put them, in the pool. It's just exciting. So we're very excited about it. Stephen's got 2 cornea transplants in his eyes, and we never even thought about being in the Lions Club. Stephen's father was in the Lions Club for many years. But Mark Mercer sent us an invitation to go, and we went and was just so excited about what we heard. Stephen has visited the campground. It's amazing the technology, what they have out there. And I know it's gonna be, scary for some of the parents the first time to send their children. But my understanding, once they go the first time, they keep wanting to go back. So please, family, friends, you know, anybody, they're needing, I mean, sometimes they have slots that are open that the kids are not.
That's the
because we can't
biggest
reach them.
problem is slots are unfilled every year and that should never happen. So we're a great town. I know you know people, youth that could use this. So if we have some flyers, we'd love to give them to you. So.
Can people make monetary donations? Is that possible?
Well, they'd have to go through the center, but yes, they'd have to call, on all the brochures, there's phone numbers and email. You can get with anybody through the home office.
I
Yes.
want to thank you for being members of the Lions Club. I don't think there is a more generous organization in Rapids Parish than the Lions Club, and they deal with our children. So if you're looking for a club that you want to be a part of, I would strongly suggest that you contact the Lions Club in Pineville. They did call me and asked me if the town of Ball would be interested in having our own group. So if you are interested in maybe putting together, sponsoring the Lions Club, and having membership here, please call Miss Bobby, call me, we can try to make it happen. You will be so fulfilled when you realize you're doing God's work. And everybody knows somebody, some child that could apply for this camp. You're right, Mr. Bobby, no place should be unfilled.
And the first camp's coming up soon. That'd be late May. So just start kicking the ball around. Go to lionscamp.org and all your questions will be answered there.
And bring us some glasses. Tell everybody to come, you know, they got some glasses around the house. This is out in the lobby. They come pay their bill, come pay their fines, bring us some glasses.
Miss Bobby, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on our Facebook.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll put it to the top so that we can start getting glasses.
Thank you.
We're happy to do that.
Thank
y'all for speaking. Item number 9, hear from Alderwoman Duncan Furby relative to current affairs.
So I know that I had wrote this little speech thing. I'm just gonna forego all that because we've been here for a long time. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet. But I do wanna say this. What I'm gonna say, I'm speaking strictly on my behalf. I wanna try to clear up again some misinformation that's circling out in the town out there. And I'm gonna say this, I think y'all know that I do love this town. And I do my part to make this town a better place. With that being said, I'm sorry that I somewhat lost my temper a minute ago. I will say this, I think there is so much, dancing around saying what we want to say. There's so much behind the scenes of social media posts and jabs and inaccurate information. And we have these meetings every month. The first Tuesday of every month, they're open to the public. We want y'all to come. I like having people in this meeting. If you have questions, this is the place you want to come to ask your questions. We always give you the opportunity to ask the questions. So this is the place, and if you can't make it to this meeting to ask your question, I can assure you the mayor's door is always open, and she's usually always here. And you can come up here and ask the questions. You're not gonna, I promise you, you're not gonna get the entire truth on Facebook. I'm sorry. Because it's just like when your kids are kids, when we as adults, you go to a gathering, someone tells a story, and then someone tells it to the next person. You've all played that game. By the time you get to the end of the line, that story doesn't sound anything like it did at the beginning. It's almost comical, which is what's happening in the town of Ball right now. This is getting almost comical with the social media stuff. So, I wanna clear, there's two things, and the reason I want to clear this up is because for the ones that think we're not, me, I'm not speaking to the council, that think I'm not doing my job, I am still getting calls on the rate increase for the sewer and sanitation. And the calls I'm getting are not true. They're just not true. I can clear this up really quickly for y'all. I only had 2 points. I'm gonna talk about that, and I wanna talk about one other thing. One of them I can clear up really quick. In the last month's meeting, we voted. And we voted on not to raise, it wasn't a vote on raising the sewer sanitation rates. Because, I'm gonna go back here. In 2020, we were forced to have to make a very difficult and unpopular decision to raise the sewer and sanitation rates. This council, this administration had to raise the rates because they had not been raised in over 20 years. So we did a very unpopular thing and we raised it. In 2020, all of us, all of these council members, all of us voted to raise the rates. The ordinance that we passed then, have a copy and I can give it to you. In that ordinance, we went from $40 to $71.50. Also in that ordinance, we had a clause in there that we would do a yearly increase according to, for the sanitation, which is your garbage, according to the CPI's percentage every year. We would do the yearly increase. For the sewer, we based it on a different percentage increase, which was a NACWA, that's abbreviation for some long thing. So in last month, what came up for a vote is not, are we going to increase our rates? That was decided in 2020 when every Councilmember Mercer, Councilmember Christie, Councilmember William Smith, you weren't there. Jenny. Jenny Posey was sitting there. We all voted to raise the rates in 2020. And we also voted that every year after that, we would go up to smaller increments, so it wouldn't be such a high, increase again if we didn't do that. Okay, follow that. After that, for the next 3 years, we set aside that small increment of an increase. Trying to help out the citizens. We had COVID, we had the aftermath, we had all that, so we set it aside. So this past month, when we raised the rates, when we voted, it was only to go in our sewer section, in sewer department. We weren't using the NACWA anymore, we were going to the CPI because they always put their percentage out earlier. It was the same all across the board. So please, Mr. Mercer, would you please explain to them this vote that we did that has been put on Facebook 5,000 times, that you were the only one that didn't vote to increase? That's not what that was. You didn't.
I'd love, if you let me, I'd love to explain.
Okay.
When most of what you said is correct. Whenever we first did this, we did all agree to have the yearly small increment. And then we decided to start waiving them.
Right.
And then at some point, we all know at some point you gotta stop waiving them.
Right.
So everybody knows eventually you have to do something. This year coming up, I had a conversation with at least 2 other council members and possibly even more. I'd have to go back and try to figure that out. But my understanding was that nobody was raising the rate. And then all of a sudden, we found ourselves in a meeting where we were gonna kind of tweak the language a little bit to say, well, we didn't vote to increase anything, but my bill went up. So whenever I voted no on that, it was to say no to an increase, because on the agenda, it said increase.
No.
Yes,
On the
it is.
agenda, no, on the
Are you sure
agenda,
about that?
I'm sure, on the
Okay.
agenda, it said to go, the only thing we were voting on was to change it from the NACWA to the CPI.
The actual wording, not verbatim, but the wording, yes, you're correct. In that agenda item, there was the word increase, but what it said was, we were voting to change the increase from the higher index to the lower. Not we were increasing, it was changing the existing increase that we had already voted for from the higher to the lower.
So our bill went up, correct?
Yes,
And it
because
would've
in
went up more.
2020,
It would have went up
It wouldn't have went
more,
up more for me, because I told all y'all I'm voting against.
it would have went up
you,
more if
there
we
was
had
no
not
voting
voted.
against it, you voted for it
Then
in
what did we do in the
2020.
last 3 years?
We
waived it
amended our
because
ordinance.
COVID.
That was not on the agenda to amend the
Because
ordinance.
y'all didn't want it on the agenda.
Because,
If we had all decided to waive the fee, we would have waived it.
but we didn't. That wasn't,
Exactly, four y'all did.
but you voted in 2020.
I voted no.
Tell me
It was
what's
increased.
changed since
I'm
2020.
not gonna do this. I mean, why don't we go down the agenda?
What,
It's pretty obvious I voted against it. This isn't even.
no,
part of
what has
we're talking about.
changed since 2020 that now you don't want the increase that you voted for in 2020?
Because I work for the people, I don't work for you. The people told me to not go up on the bill because we have citizens that are trying to decide between medicine and bills. And to be quite honest with you, I always thought that wasn't true, but it actually is true. And my assessment as an elected official in this town was that the overwhelming majority did not want an increase. And therefore, I voted, first off, stated with at least two other council people that I'm against this and thought that they were as well. And then I stuck to what I said and voted no to an increase. That was my position. It passed 4-1, so it passed.
So you don't think the increase you voted for in 2020 is good?
What do
You
you
don't
think it's gonna do?
We should not do our yearly CPI adjustments to our sewer and sanitation departments?
Well, it's the same thing you think. We waived in the last 3 years.
And then we were in the rears, in the red, and so we had the money that we needed to, nobody's gonna loan you money if you can't pay your bills. So you're okay with not getting the grant money to upgrade our sewer.
I think there's 100 million ways that you can spend money and do this, and we could sit here all night and say I was against something we spent money.
So
on.
regardless
The
of
fact
how-
is, I voted against.
Okay, so how, regardless of how, the item on the agenda last month was to just change from the NACWA percentage to the CPI percentage. That's what the vote was for. And in the 2020, we voted for this, we knew we had to do it. Basically, the state had a gun to our head and said, you do it or we're gonna take over your town. So we did what we had to do. But and this time we had to do it again because we had money coming up. I just don't understand how, in 2020 and then again in 2022, Mr. Mercer said, at a meeting, I think it's on the Town of Ball Facebook page, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. We're gonna have to do these small increments of increases. So it's not a surprise.
I just said it again. I mean, the next month, do I need to come with a prepared Suzanne Duncan Fergie speech?
You could.
Like you just did, I'll do it. I'll sure do it.
If you want to be on the agenda to talk, you can.
Sure, I'll do it.
But I do have all of the, the information that it had to be done, that we all voted for it, we all thought it was a good idea. And that had nothing to do with what we were voting on this past month. It was strictly the percentage we went up, because that was already decided. And we chose, the four of us that voted yes, we chose the smaller percentage to go up. So the no vote meant he wanted to go up to the higher percentage.
Against an increase.
Can I add to that? Okay, it was said a few minutes ago that he is for the people, okay? I'm not saying that he's not by any means. But I am gonna say that you have 4 council members up here that could have very easily said, you know what, let's just stick with the NACWA rate and let's just go up even more on their bills. But we got together and we realized because of that grant money, we had no choice. We had to go up again because we're in the red now. So we had to go up on those bills. We had no choice. So instead of saying, okay, well, let's just keep it like it is and keep going up even more, 4 of us got together and said, oh, no, we're not gonna do this. If we can bring it back down to the CPI, let's do that so that way we don't hit them even more and go up even more. So we are for you as well because we did not want to hit you with an even huger rate. We wanted to get it down for y'all. So I don't think it's fair to say there's only one person that's here for the people. Every single member of this council is here for every single person in this town.
You're here, yeah.
I'm gonna say this, since we're on this thing. The 2 years that we voted not to go up with the CPI on the sewer and garbage rate, number one was because of COVID. Shut everything down, nobody was working. Number 2 was, nobody was working on the second year. We didn't go up. That did not help the system one bit in the world. That helped the people that could afford it, and we tried to give a little break. So we lost 2 years of increases, period. They're gone. We won't get that back. That's where that come in at. That's the only reason they didn't go up, or we didn't go for 2 years. Am I right, Mr. Stevens?
No, yeah, I would just add, you know, without your excellent auditor's advice, that's all I'd add. You almost had it perfect, but
Pretty close to that. But there again, you know, the system suffered from it.
And I'm gonna add on to that, since there was some discussion about the grant and there was some, misunderstanding about my negotiations for the grant. We received $1.3 million grant that we don't have to pay back. It was given to us for sewer. For sewer. We were able to do that, to even apply. First of all, because we were released from FEMA. That was the number one thing. We were released from FEMA because with their wisdom, this council took and set in place to satisfy the legislative auditor who had us when we took office on the fiscally distressed list. That means you got 90 days to straighten up this town, come up with a price increase, or we coming in and we are telling you what to do. There's no if, ands, and buts. Every one of us has seen that's what, we know that's what happened. That's why we bit the bullet. That's why when we all campaigned, we knew we had this facing us. But we were willing to do it. We were willing to do the unpopular, not thinking, hey, we're gonna do this, nobody's gonna reelect us. Was not what it was about. It was about what we needed to do for our town. We did that. But because these people put in place where we were now gonna go up every year a little bit, $2, $3, whatever the CPI was, that we were gonna do that. That allowed me, Stephen is here, Pan American is here. That allowed me to be able to file for the first time ever for a grant. We almost didn't get that grant. We had to do a lot of things. The two people who wrote the grant are right here. We had to do some things. But you know what? We fought, and with the grace of God, we were the last ones to get the money. We got it. I was told, Ms. Gail, don't get your hopes up, because it's probably not gonna happen. My words to Tom David were, God didn't take me here to slam the door in my face. And that very day, we were awarded that money. And it was because our affairs were in order. It wasn't after that, the council, they approved me, okay, well, I'm sorry, but, I guess I have to stop and tell y'all that because of what we did, because of what we did,
Suzanne,
we got
it's
the
Suzanne
grant.
The whole point is, just like me and